What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Tonight, Thursday night, October 20th, we have football starting in about 45 minutes. We're just going to kind of hang out, answer your guys' questions, and then we'll kind of go over the player news and the injury updates and all the practice reports today that we need to know about. So hop into a screen share here for you guys. Basically, I'm gonna wait till some questions happen. We'll go through some of the player news and things like that. The headliners here on the far right: Tyler Lockett missing practice. I'm not sure what that is about. That's definitely an eyebrow raiser for sure. We have Andy Dalton starting tonight. So if you guys are waiting for that news, that's how it's going. We're doing well today, my man. We're excited. It's always good when you have football on. So it's been a long, kind of a long wait all day. But today's been good. We actually had some good weather where I'm at. So like we're excited about the weekend. So hope you're doing well as well. Good evening to Aiden. Fire up your guys' questions if you got. For now, I'm just going to continue to read some of these player news and updates. Again, Andy Dalton. This one's interesting. Rappaport reports there's a real chance Andy Dalton remains the Saints starter going forward. So he has looked pretty decent. I know that he's been playing without a full cast of characters. Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry both not out there tonight and haven't been playing for a couple of weeks. So it could be Andy Dalton's show going forward, as Jameis Winston's proved to be pretty reckless. Robbie Anderson going to be active for tonight. Keenan Allen listed as limited. I don't think he's going to play this week. Again, they have a bye week 8, so it makes sense for them to kind of rest him. You have Josh Palmer not practicing with the concussion symptoms. We'll see. It's probably looking like Keenan Allen and both Josh Palmer are out. Jameis Winston's the backup tonight. No Darrell Williams, no Matt Prater, no James Conner. So if you got Eno Benjamin, I think he's an interesting start. Now we got to the second page here. Let's look at some of the questions we got. Rave says, someone just dropped Miles Sanders for Harris. How much should I bid for him? Someone dropped Miles Sanders? Sheesh. Assuming you have like the $100 fab, the free agent auction bidding, I would probably dump 40 to 50% of whatever you got left. Sanders is a steady running back too. He's a starter, I think, on pretty much any fantasy team. I would say upwards of 40 to 50% of my fab. Aiden says PPR Swift, Kenny, Jeff Wilson Jr., Mostert. I'm gonna go with Swift and Kenneth Walker. If no DeAndre Swift, I'll go with Raheem Mostert over Jeff Wilson. Let me double check here. I want to see what I believe Swift's on track to play. I just want to double check that for you. Limited. He's on track to play, so I'll stick with Swift and Ken Walker. What is Rondale Moore's floor ceiling? That's a good question. He's been getting a lot of targets the last couple of weeks, and he's been slowly kind of ramping back up into health. He did miss like the first month of football or so. So let's take a peek here and take a look at Rondale Moore for you. Assuming this is full PPR for you, Christian. We got Rondale here. So week 1 for him was technically week 4. He goes out and gets 3 for 11 and 1 for -4. So like this was a disaster of a game. I think his floor is higher than this. And basically with Marquise Brown out, DeAndre Hopkins in, I don't really see a big change. I think he's, between, I would say maybe 7 to 10 targets is kind of his range of outcomes. And he's probably a guy that's going to catch 3 to 5 passes per game. So if you say you just give him 4 receptions, and then at this 8 to 9 yards a clip, you're probably looking at a 7 to 10 point PPR floor, assuming it is PPR for you. Read for the 4-person league killer questions. Read for the 4-person league. I'm not sure what that means. What's up to Ryan? Hope you're doing well. Good evening to Harris. Good evening to Justin. Hope you guys are all doing well. And yeah, fun night tonight. I'm hoping this is going to be an interesting Thursday night game. I think, well, what's crazy to me is that both these teams are 2-4, and it's like, oh man, like whoever loses this game falls to 2-5. Like that's trouble. Like look at here, you got the Saints at 2-4, and you have the Cardinals at 2-4. Whoever goes to 2-5 is really, looking at themselves in the mirror, wondering what's going on. Good game for Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week. I'm slightly nervous about Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week. Actually, let's go ahead and pull up Clyde Edwards-Helaire's numbers the last few games. He's been starting to trend downwards. So if I just click on Clyde, let's see here. So they are projecting him for about 11 points this week. I think that's fair. Let me look and see. So the last 2 weeks, he's only got 9 points. So the floor has been set. Anywhere between 3 and 6 points is the floor. It's a tough matchup on paper against the San Francisco 49ers. If we look at what the Niners are doing to opponent running backs, they rank 6. So it's a tough matchup. 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 33 receptions, 190 through the air, basically only allowing 18.38 points per game to the running backs. And they like to use 3 running backs right now. They're using Jerick McKinnon. They're using Isaiah Pacheco, although not as much. So I'm probably going to say maybe 7 to 10 points for Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week as kind of a safe point. If he gets a touchdown, it could be more, but I'm going to say 7 to 10 points. PPR pick 2. Higgins, Debo, Godwin, Big Mike, Terry, Deontay, Ayuk. Oh, Jesus. Sheesh. I'm gonna. I think you're going Debo for sure, because that game script is probably going to be pass heavy for the 49ers. I'm interested in Higgins because they're going up against the Falcons at home. The Falcons allow a lot of wide receiver points, so I think my favorite 2 are Higgins and Debo. If you wanted to have a consolation tiebreaker, I would say it's probably Godwin, but I'm going to rank them Debo, Higgins, Godwin, Big Mike, and then the other 3 I'll just kind of leave to the wayside. Good evening to Jason. Someone tried trading me Michael Thomas, Najee, and Stevenson for Saquon and Pittman. Yeah, you want to keep Saquon and Pittman there, so hold steady. Hold steady there. Mostert, Deontay, or Pollard, PPR. That one's tough. The Steelers' defense is not playing very well at all. They allow a handful of running back points here, as you can see. So Mostert is intriguing. On the flip side, Miami allowing points to the wide receiver. They've been pretty leaky themselves. So Deontay could be a good spot here. I do think Pollard might be your safest play. I think going up against the Lions, one of the worst teams against the run. I could totally see Tony Pollard ripping off a big play there. So I think if you want to, collect the safe 8 to 10 points, I think Pollard's probably your safest player. But I'm kind of feeling like Deontay Johnson is probably the guy here in this question. This one's Chris Godwin all day. Brian Robinson or that one's tough. That one is tough. Brian Robinson against the Packers. Packers have been pretty leaky against opponents' running backs. If they do, so the thing with Brian Robinson is he's not going to get you PPR work. He's not going to get a ton of receptions. He's going to be lucky to get 1 reception in this game. Like they use McKissick for that. They've also been talking about Antonio Gibson being more involved. So I think with Robinson, I mean, you're purely hoping that they get inside the 5-yard line and they can punch him into the end zone. So I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is probably the better play. But either way, these guys are pretty touchdown dependent. I'm going to lean with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's the Chiefs. Yep. And what do you project for Olave tonight? Actually, let's take a look at that. I want to look at the DK Sportsbook and see what they're projecting. I think it's going to be a good Olave night. I'm excited about his opportunity again with no Michael Thomas, no Jarvis Landry. It should be a good Olave night. So let's look and see what they're saying. They have Olave at 62.5. They're taking the over on that at -130. So I'm kind of in agreement there. And then people are hammering his reception. So I'm going to say 6 catches, 80 yards, and a 50% chance of a touchdown. So, in a PPR setting, you're looking at 12 to 14 points. And then with the touchdown, it could be more. So I think it's a good Olave night. Mixon, Swift, Godwin. I'll go Mixon, Godwin there. Again, with Swift coming back, we don't know if it's going to be a full workload. It is Dallas defense, which is pretty dang good too. Stick with Mixon and Godwin. Harris says trade Murray and Deontay Johnson for Geno, Evans, and Jamal Williams. You probably want to keep Kyler Murray and Deontay. I think Mike Evans is the prize piece of this whole thing. But from Kyler to Geno, I think that's to me, that's a little bit of a big drop off. I don't know if I'm not going to be comfortable with Geno Smith out there as my quarterback every week. I know he's been hot to start the year, but as the weather gets colder, that could change. I mean, you're looking at Kyler Murray here. He's the QB6 right now. If you ask me which one's more likely to stay in the top 7, it's Kyler. So I think you stick with Murray and Deontay there. That's a good question. I own both of these guys in one of my leagues, and I kind of value them as like not really wide receiver 3s. They're more like flex guys, but in full PPR, that's what you like. I think I'm going to go with I mean, Darren Waller's banged up right now. I think that's very concerning. I'm going to lean towards Hunter Renfrow, but I mean, this is so equal. It's down to a preference call. The reason I choose Hunter Renfrow is I'd rather have a Raider than a Commander at this point. I think that's probably how I'll say it. Brees, Mixon, Godwin, pick 2. So Mixon, let's see how his running back matchup is. Mixon, middle of the road against the Falcons. You probably want to get him in there. I think Brees Hall, tougher matchup against the Broncos. I know he's been hot, but I'm going to go Mixon, Godwin. And Harris says he has Kirk Cousins. Oh, okay. Then go do it. Yeah, go get your Mike Evans and your Jamal Williams, and stash Jamal. You know, he's useful when anything happens to Swift, but clearly Mike Evans is the upgrade over Deontay. So I'm open to that, Harris. Olave, Rondale, and Ayuk. Olave's the must play. He's the clear number 1 of this trio. And then I would say this: if you have Brandon Ayuk, you know that he's very talented, and he has what the upside that we saw last week. Like, he has that in him every week. It's just, you know, you're attached to Jimmy Garoppolo, and you're gonna hit these 6, 7s and these 8s. But if you want to just leave him in there, I totally get it. You're probably not going to see 11 targets, you know, every week, somewhere in between the 4 and 8 range. So he's got a wider range of outcomes. So I kind of like Rondale Moore more tonight. I think he's more safe. He's probably going to, you know, get you those 11 to 12 points. It just, the ceiling's not there. So I'm going to say start Olave. And then when it comes to Rondale versus Ayuk, if you want the safe, sure bet for double digits, go with Rondale. If you feel like you can afford the risk this week, and if Ayuk gets you a 7 or 8, that's fine. Just the ceiling there for Ayuk. And I think because they're playing the Chiefs at home, I'm willing to go Ayuk. So I'm going to say Olave and Ayuk. London, Pickens, Clyde, Edwards-Helaire. We'll go with Drake London. Go with London. Brandon Cooks or Duvernay, half PPR. Brandon Cooks. How much do you think Rondale Moore putting up fantasy points wise? So for tonight, I mean, we kind of looked at that earlier. I think with Rondale, they like to get him the ball in quick space. Like, they get him the ball so quickly, and he can kind of, you know, wiggle and do his thing in the short area game. So I think it's a decent matchup for Rondale tonight. He's never going to be a big play guy. He's kind of on the, you know, the spectrum of a Curtis Samuel, of a Hunter Renfrow type, where he's going to have to, you know, get a lot of plays, rack them up that way. But man, right now, the Saints defense is banged up. So I mean, I'm going to say 10 to 12 points for Rondale Moore tonight is probably where he'll be. Trade Lazard for Jeff PPR. Nope, keep Lazard. Keep Lazard. Rodgers, Carr, or Mariota. This week I'll go with Aaron Rodgers. It's a juicy game for the Packers. One, they've been playing like dog crap the last 2 games. Commanders give up a lot of points to the quarterback. 12 touchdowns they've given up here. So Aaron Rodgers probably going to throw 2 touchdowns this week. I feel safe about the Packers getting things on track. For Debo, I got offered 3 different trades: Higgins and Najee, Waddle and Kirk, or AJ Brown straight. I'm doing probably Waddle and Kirk. Higgins and Najee is fun. I mean, Najee is not a fun running back to roster right now. But I think the best receiver here is AJ Brown, but it's for him straight up. I think between Higgins, Waddle, and Kirk, the guy I want there is Higgins. And then you do get Najee. So if you could use the running back help, I say go for Najee. If you need some receiver depth, I mean, Waddle and Christian Kirk is really nice. You're also getting Tua back as well. So those are the 2 I'm looking at. I think my head's going to say Waddle and Kirk. Kirk or Brandon Cooks, half PPR. I'm going to go with Christian Kirk. Could Greg Dulcich for Denver be a threat this week? I'm open to it. His utilization was really nice. I'm going to look that up. Let's PFF routes run week 6. Let's see if we can find this. Do they have the Denver game in here? I'm looking for the Denver game. That was Denver LAC. Here we go. So the participation, they don't have it in here. What the hell? I mean, the fact that they didn't even have what's his name, Alberto Quaigbenam active, I think that's a huge sign that they clearly do not. They don't know what they want to do at tight end, and I think Dulcich, the fact that he got that much playtime right away in his first game, is a really nice piece. And I mean, to be honest, like he was a part of the offense in the first half, and that's why they had success. So I think Dulcich is a guy that's worth holding on to in fantasy leagues. I don't know if I'm going to start him this week. His matchup this week is against the Jets. Jets haven't allowed a touchdown to the tight end. They've allowed 34 catches. Robert Tonyan actually had a really nice game against them last week. So I kind of see where you're going here. I think Tonyan had like 8 or 10. I think he had 10 catches for like 80 yards last week. So I do think Dulcich could be a decent streamer this week. If you have no tight end, like he's worth a try. You know, he saw the big play touchdown. He's probably going to get more work on his plate this week. So I'm cool with Dulcich here. Injury update on Damien Harris. He practiced in full today. I think he's on track to play. I think either way, they're going to ride. So he gets the full practice today. I think he's on track. I would assume he's going to play on Monday Night Football, but it's very clear to me that like Ramondre Stevenson he's a part of the offense now going forward. You're looking at some kind of two-man committee here, so I'm very open to using both Ramondre and Damien Harris. Harris is I prefer Ramondre over Harris because I think they like him in the passing game more. So Harris is just going to be a low-end RB2 here. Trade Kyler Murray, Kelsey, and Damien Harris for Geno, Mike Evans, Eckler, and Tonyan. I hate giving away Kelsey. Feels scary, but you get Eckler. I'm liking the Evans, Eckler, Tonyan side because you're getting a boost at receiver with Evans, and then you're getting a huge boost at running back and Tonyan. So I'm leaning towards the Tonyan, Eckler, Evans side. Christian Kirk, yes sir. I'm gonna go with Ramondre Stevenson again. He's healthy. He catches passes. Harris does have the hamstring thing going on, where like mid game that could come up on him again. So I think the safe play is definitely Ramondre this week. I have Montgomery PPR. Montgomery, I'm cool with that. Essentially I think they listed Melvin Gordon as the starter for this week. He started last week too, so it really doesn't mean much to me. The Bears, man, they come out and said that they're going to ride the hot hand. So if anything happens to Montgomery, Herbert could be in there. So I'm not excited about Melvin Gordon. I'm open to dropping him. I think he's probably going to get traded. I would bet it's very likely that Melvin gets traded in a week or two. So I think Khalil Herbert's got more value to you. Mostert, Myers, or Eno in the flex PPR. I'm going to go with Jacoby on Monday Night Football. The Bears are good against the wide receiver, but they're more so on the outside. Like you see, they rank second here, but they've allowed a lot of yards, not a lot of touchdowns, but they've allowed a lot of receptions and yards here. So I think Jacoby Myers is probably, especially in a PPR format, that's probably where I want to be. I like Eno Benjamin. If you're comfortable with Eno Benjamin, I would say this. Last week, it was like as bad as it could be. 15 for 37, 3 for 28, and he still ended up with 9.5 points. So, Harris, or that's Josh, if you're comfortable with, maybe getting an 8 to 9 point floor, I would say go Eno Benjamin. So I'm going to change my answer. I'm going to say Eno Benjamin tonight. Kenneth Walker or Swift at PPR. I'm going to go Kenneth Walker. He's got a juicy matchup this week. The Chargers are not good against the running back. That's where you want to be here. So Kenneth Walker all day. Let me see what else I can find here for player news. So it's pretty much certain to me that Darren Waller is not going to play. Foster Moreau is going to probably get the start. Interesting. Hunter Renfrow added to the injury report, not practicing. So that's something to monitor. Might be without Waller and might be without Hunter Renfrow. So something to watch there in Las Vegas. Mike Evans or Stevenson half PPR. I'm going to go with Mike Evans there. I think he's due for a big game. He hasn't really been making noise the last couple of weeks, but I'll go Mike Evans there. Kinda. I'm going to see if I can find that again. The PFF thing is nice, but sometimes it's hard to find things. Like, I don't know why they don't have the Sunday night and Monday night football in here. But the Steelers, Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh, I clicked on it. Where is it? So Najee Harris gets 44 snaps last week. Jalen Warren 20. So in terms of routes run, 17 to 12 to Najee, 3 targets for Najee, 14 carries, 2 for Warren. So not really. It's mostly Najee Harris still. Is Lockett a good play, even though he has a hamstring injury? I mean, I think if Lockett goes, I'm cool with it. I just want to double check. Where is it? Let's look at that. Did he practice yesterday? Back-to-back DNPs. I'm slightly concerned. So if he doesn't get a limited in tomorrow, they might just shut him down for the weekend. So this one's hard to answer. I think even if he plays, I'm not sure how, is he 100%? I'm going to say no. So if you have someone else that you could pull up, I think that's probably what I would do. And the Mark Andrews thing is weird, man. They said yesterday that it was just rest, and now that he's back to back with a knee, I don't know if they're just giving him an extra day rest to get him healthy. So I really don't know what's going on here. Maybe tomorrow he gets a limited or a full practice, and that would be nice. I don't remember an injury status on Sunday or Monday coming out of him, so I'm hoping they're just being cautious with their best player. Again, they're banged up. Look at this injury report. They got a lot of injuries, so I'm hoping they're just giving Mark Andrews the day off here. But we'll see. I think he's going to play though. I seen on Twitter they moved him out of the slot. So that's a great question. The issue is they want him in the slot, but they've had Marvin Jones and Jamal Agnew banged up lately. And in terms of Marvin Jones, like, he's strictly an outside receiver. So he missed last week. So essentially that means that they need to move Kirk around a little bit more to get guys like Agnew plays in the slot. So when Agnew comes into the game, he's going to be in the slot. Kirk's going to get bounced outside. And then the week before this, I know Zay Jones has been hurt with an ankle injury, and he's an outside receiver too. So if we could have the best case scenario for Christian Kirk, we want Marvin Jones playing, we want Zay Jones playing, because that pretty much keeps Christian Kirk in the slot when all those guys are healthy. So I think that explains it. Higgins or Olave half PPR. That one's tough. I'm gonna go with Higgins. I think he's got more boom potential. If it was Jameis Winston, I might say Olave. Olave is gonna have a nice game tonight, but I'm gonna go with Higgins. Find a waiver tight end because Higbee's on bye. That depends, Christian. If you can find Robert Tonyan, if you can find, let's see who's out there on tight ends. Let's look. I'm probably going to roll with Kyle Pitts either way. I mean, we drafted to use him. So otherwise, I mean, you're looking at guys like Tonyan, Fant, Hayden Hurst. I mean, it's kind of ugly. So I think you roll with Pitts. But keep the questions coming. I'm just going to kind of go over some of the news here. Elijah Moore requested, he expects Elijah Moore to be active for Week 7 after the Broncos requesting a trade. So we'll see. I believe the NFL trade deadline is like November 1st. NFL trade deadline. Let's take a look here. Yep, November 1st, 4 p.m. Eastern. So the Tuesday after Week 8. Interesting. So we're getting to the nitty gritty here. Almost trade deadline. Denzel Mims could get moved as well. So something to look for there. Jonnu Smith limited. Kendrick Bourne limited. I think the Patriots are going to be pretty much at full health. No Nelson Aguilar, but they're looking good for Monday Night Football. Justice Hill back practicing in full. Rashad Bateman limited, so that's back-to-back limiteds. That puts him closer to playing than he's been the last couple games, so we'll see about that. Lamar Jackson full. I don't think we're going to see J.K. Dobbins this week, and we're pending on Mark Andrews. I think Kenny Pickett's going to play. I think Pat Freiermuth is going to play, and it looks like Minkah Fitzpatrick's going to play. So the Steelers, surprisingly, they pulled off that win last week. I think they're going to be at a little bit more strength this week. Rest of season, do you value Najee or Christian Kirk higher? That depends. If you need the running back, like that's the safe play. But I think Christian Kirk's going to probably be the guy that's got more opportunity down the line here. Do you think Elijah Moore finds a trade from the Jets? I don't think so. I mean, if they're going to make a trade, I think Denzel Mims is more tradable. But now you have to deal with a guy like who is clearly frustrated. So you have to deal with that. I would like to think so. There's a handful of teams that, I mean, pretty much any team could use an extra receiver. Me being a Packer fan, I'd love to see Elijah Moore in Green Bay. You also have Chicago Bears need a receiver. Like that makes a lot of sense. I don't know if they want to do that. But like even like Denver Bronco, like go get Elijah Moore, go get some of these players. I think there's a market for him. I mean, you got Elijah Moore, DJ Moore, Chase Claypool, probably a couple others that I can't think of. But I think we're probably going to see a couple big players traded next week. DeAndre Hopkins must start tonight. I think so. You'd have to have. I mean, unless you have like 3 top 10, top 15 receivers, then you got to sit them. But it's looking like it's going to be a good Hopkins return tonight. We'll go with Damien Pierce. I feel really good about Damien Pierce this week going up against the Raiders. And since we got a couple minutes left here, I want to say something. With the NFL trade deadline coming next, I guess November 1st, right? Like we're almost there. Maybe not this week, but maybe next week we start to look at. This is probably more of like a waiver wire thing for next week, but think about who's potentially being traded here. Is it Christian McCaffrey? Because then we're going to want to look at his running back. I mean, if Elijah Moore gets traded, does that mean Corey Davis and Garrett Wilson? Like those guys, their outlooks get better. So I want you to just think about people who could get traded, and do we like their value, on their new team? And then what about the team that that sent them? Like, does that upgrade some of their guys here too? So we'll be looking at some of those players. And then the one guy that I want you guys to consider stashing. And what's nice is like they're on bye this week, so no one's really looking at this. But here you go. The Athletics' Jordan Rodriguez expects Rams' 5th-round rookie Kyren Williams to have a big role once he returns. I mean, simply put, like Akers hasn't looked good. He's probably not going to play with the Rams anymore. Darrell Henderson hasn't looked good either. He's been getting the volume, but he hasn't looked electric or anything. So why not give the rookie running back a shot? And he's pretty good. He's elusive. He's a good pass catcher. Kyren Williams could be a little jolt of energy for the Rams offense here. So in leagues where he's available, I've gone and picked up Kyren Williams. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a shot next week if he returns to be a guy for us. So check out Kyren Williams. Heard Giants Packers are exploring Claypool. Don't really want him on the Giants. So the Giants are like. I would love to see Elijah Moore on the Giants. I think that would be probably one of his best fits. I mean, any receiver going to Green Bay would be a good fit. But the Giants really need something. The Giants should. I don't know what's going on with Kadarius Toney either, but he needs to get healthy. And yeah, Kyren Williams, guys, check him out. So what's nice if you have an IR spot in your league, you can slide him into the IR, and they're on bye this week. So like this is. I would assume next week we see him maybe activated and potentially playing next weekend. So it's better to be ahead on guys like this. Romeo Doubs or Bob Woods non-PPR. How did Bob Woods do? How did he do against the Colts earlier? 4 for 30 and a touchdown. You're looking at these numbers here, 7 to 12 points. I feel safer with Robert Woods than Romeo Doubs. I do like Romeo's matchup. If you can afford the risk, I'm going to say Romeo Doubs has the higher ceiling. So I'm going to go Romeo Doubs. So if they didn't have a Thursday night game this week, I think he probably would have played. So I would hold out hope. If he doesn't play in week 8, then we can, sound the alarm and get concerned because he's going to get 10 days from today to be ready. So we're almost there. We're getting nervous about Michael Thomas, but week 8 is the big week. And yes, great call. I'm surprised I didn't mention it. Gus Edwards, definitely. Like we're at that season, guys, where pretty much anybody in the NFL is not 100%. Everyone's banged up, and getting players back like a Gus Edwards, a Kyren Williams. You're adding even DeAndre Hopkins, like he's got the juice right now. You're looking at adding these running backs, and I like to do it like a week or two early. Some of my favorite moves is I like to leave 1 or 2. Like I have a deeper league where The last spot or two on my bench, I'm constantly churning running backs and just seeing who's kind of the hot hand. And all of a sudden, if you get to be a week early on the waiver wire, like just imagine like if Kyron Williams pops off next week, like we already got him on our bench. Like I'm not going to say to start Kyron Williams, but if he, in the game, if he pops off, like we already got him covered. So Gus Edwards falls into this territory as well. It's so much better to be a week ahead. And don't be afraid at the end of your bench. Don't be afraid to try and add guys and sit on them and see what happens. Eno Benjamin all day. Eno Benjamin, tough matchup against the Jets. But we're going on about 7 o'clock here. It's a good half an hour into the show. I'm gonna get out of here. If you guys want to hang out with me, we'll be doing, I think, a live show on Saturday evening. I'll be doing a live show on Sunday as well. 90 minutes before the opening kickoff. So we'll be live Saturday and Sunday. I probably don't do a video tomorrow night, but anyways, that's it. If you guys do have any questions over the weekend, it's probably best to hit me up on Twitter at theFellowKGB. Check out the Fantasy Fellowship, all that stuff. We're on TikTok, all that good stuff. Subscribe if you're new. Thank you. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.